patients are going to vary in terms of the type of product that they need. And traditionally, the products that we've had for first-ray pathology have been a little cumbersome. For instance, if we got into a glass fiber orthotic with a Morton's extension, they're rather bulky and pretty cumbersome. I think the market was just screaming for an update to be able to have something that was a little more effective, a little more consumer friendly, and something that you can modify to optimize. The product that I think most of us as clinicians relied upon was either a rigid first ray extension or to use a carbon fiber spring plate. Both of those were very stiff. Carbon fiber spring plate has no arch support at all. So you were forced to choose between, say, a glass fiber orthotic that's pretty bulky with a Morton's extension and a very thin but non-supportive carbon fiber spring plate. And ultimately, I think what the 1stRaythotics did was to integrate these two concepts where you not only get a degree of semi-rigid to rigid arch support, but you also get the ability to modify applications for changing the mechanical function of the first ray. Well, carbon fiber, I think you'll see, is used in a lot of high-tech applications. For instance, Lamborghini uses it in its body function and building brake housings because it's light and extremely strong. Racing yachts are all made out of carbon fiber. And then as you start to turn into the medical side of things, the lightweight prosthetics that you see, for instance, that might be used after a lower extremity amputation are carbon fiber. The key with carbon fiber is that it's extremely lightweight and extremely strong. So in some cases for custom application, you might find that polyethylene is a better choice for a simple posterior AFO. But when you step it up a notch, you'll see that the majority of the customized AFOs are made out of carbon fiber. So do you remember the shoes? I think they were called a Nike Free Fly. I might be getting that wrong, but they won, if I'm not mistaken, the New York Marathon, right? And so they had a carbon fiber spring plate in them. And it was a huge debate whether that was actually cheating, because here you have this extremely lightweight new material that makes the foot function a little bit like a spring, so that when the calf starts to load and you hit the heel off stage of gait, that carbon fiber spring actually pushes you a little bit forward. Now, no one got in trouble and everybody kept their medals, but that was a big time for carbon fiber when I think it was the first time in foot and ankle care that carbon fiber was introduced in such a controversial way. Part of the beauty of running is it's you and your shoes. And it's a very intimate relationship, and just that minimalism, I think, is a big part of the beauty of running. And to have something like this new line of 1stRaythotics, I think, is a really neat opportunity for something like that because it's so lightweight and it's strong enough with these specific forefoot applications. I think it's a pretty awesome combination. What they did was they took all of the logic that was applicable to carbon fiber products and integrated, for instance, how do we control forefoot pathology, but still have an adequate arch support and be able to fit all this into a shoe. And that's the beauty of these 1stRaythotics, that they take all of those into one package so that they're much more easily placed into the shoe and able to control forefoot pathology. When a provider can say that this orthotic is made of the same materials that Lamborghini uses to make their bodies on their cars, it's a high-tech material. It's incredibly thin, incredibly versatile, and that's why I think this product line of 1stRaythotics is really cool. I think it's an advance over what we had. Let's take a look at each of the individual 1stRaythotics. The first is an orthotic that has a flexible and very thin top cover. The top cover is only 0.7 millimeters in thickness. The thickest portion of the central part, or the arch support of the 1stRaythotic, is only 1.9 millimeters. Very, very thin. But semi-rigid to almost completely rigid to give you support. Now, for many people, what we might find is that a person might have a problem like hallux limitus or turf toe on one foot. So what we've come up with is the ability to use a neutral orthotic on one foot and a specific first-raythotic on the other foot. So the combination then would give the provider an opportunity to prescribe a carbon fiber device for the left foot, using it as a natural or a neutral position, and for the right foot, use the other first-raythotic that includes a Morton's extension. So it gives, I think, providers a little bit of way to vary the options with each of these. The Morton's extension on the first-raythotic is semi-rigid. When combined with a shoe that combines a semi-rigid shank and a laced upper, it does become a little bit more rigid in terms of its flexibility. One of the other things that was done too to provide first-ray management in early cases of hallux limitus. So for instance, in stages 1 and 2 of hallux limitus, where there's limited degenerative change of the joint, in that case, you want to try to improve the range of motion of the joint. Whereas with stages 3 and 4, we want to use a Morton's extension directly under the first ray to stiffen the range of motion. So PediFix came up with another idea. This would be the first ray cutout here, but it's a reversed Morton's extension that would intentionally be used to limit the range of motion of the lateral column of the foot, but increase and plantar flex the first ray to be able to increase the range of motion of the first ray in stages 1 and 2 in hallux limitus. So two options, one for early hallux limitus and minor injuries. Also, stage 3 and 4 would be the Morton's extension that would be indicated for hallux limitus, hallux rigidus, and turf toe. Starting with the thinness of the first-raythotics, I think the adjustments are pretty remarkable. Going directly to the most adjustable, here's a new line from PediFix that includes not only a sub-2, sub-3 cutout, but also carbon fiber on either side to have a Morton's extension on both sides. Now, I could see something like this used for metatarsalgia, for Morton's neuroma, but you want to incorporate that with a metatarsal pad to offload and maximize the cutout within this particular version of the first-raythotics. This could also be used with a top cover and perhaps a met pad on the top. In my practice, I tend to find that when possible, if I can get a met pad placed on the bottom of the insole, it doesn't move around when the foot comes in and out of the shoe. It stays in place, and you can take a simple felt metatarsal pad, and when placed on the bottom of the insole, that felt metatarsal pad can last a good 18 to 24 months because it's not disturbed. So heat moldable, extremely thin, very versatile, semi-rigid to rigid, and modified with any top cover you'd like to use over the top of it. I would see these both used as in a dress shoe, used right out of the box as is, but for more complicated indications, and when you have enough room in the shoe, like a tennis shoe or a work boot, the modifications are endless in terms of, like you said, dancers pads, met pads, top covers. I think almost indefinitely, and from what we're seeing, this material seems to be extremely durable. I think what you'd find is you're probably going to use the first-raythotic as a base orthotic, and perhaps every 6 months to a year replace whatever window dressing you put around it, met pads, dancers pads, top covers, and then continue to use that as the base. Years ago in my practice, my focus was on custom orthotics and not customizing existing orthotics, but not everybody needs a custom orthotic, and this becomes, I think, an affordable and readily accessible way to provide the same kind of solutions without getting into a custom orthotic.